Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, iRacing fans from around the world, welcome to the monthly pad race. I am Scott Kolovic up here in the booth. Joining me in the booth is my good friend Cody. How are we doing, Cody?
We are doing absolutely wonderful tonight, Scott. Ready to get racing around this 2.66 mile track for 100 laps.
Now, we are getting a little bit of a late start off here in the booth, ladies and gentlemen. We had some technical difficulties we are trying to work through. We do apologize for that. Unfortunately, we are having the same technical issues we did have last night as far as the bells and the whistles, but we're still going to do what we do up here tonight. Drivers are getting ready to go green. Cody, very quickly, take us through our top 10 qualifiers.
Really quickly, we have Mark Jackson sitting on the pole getting ready to take the green flag. And we also have Everett F. Lane in second. We have Mitchell Reeves in third. James Brown in fourth. Travis Browder in fifth. Richard Rose in sixth. Donald Sadusky in seventh. Chris Boyles in eighth. And Donald Stewart in ninth. And rounding out your top 10 is Steve Dutes. Mark Jackson getting off to a great start right there. Really hitting the high note with that truck.
Going to be some great racing out here tonight in the monthly race for PAD. PADD.org is where you can find more information about PAD. Cody, talk to us about PAD.
A little bit about PAD. There are people against distracted driving. Yeah, it's really not just cell phones. It's anything, any handheld device, anything that could make you lose concentration off of the road. So right now, these drivers are being very focused, just like those drivers should be out on the road. You may not be going 200 plus miles per hour, but the safety really should come first. And we got Mark Jackson loose on the apron. Looks like he was going to about come up, but he did end up saving that truck down there below that yellow line. Good save by Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson, excellent driver out here. This is Talladega. This is 100 laps on this 2.66 mile speedway. Looking at the rear end of the 48 being driven by Steve Dutes in the Tanner truck.
That Tanner truck is very, very colorful. It's got the tie-dye paint scheme on it once more. Kind of an older paint scheme, but you know, he really likes running that truck just to support a lot of the causes that he runs for.
Number 19 out there on that front line, putting on a real good show out here. Number 19 belonging to Donald Sadusky.
Yeah, Donald Sadusky, usually a very fast front runner. He's got to work a little bit on his consistency. Usually he'll fall back to the middle, but he'll be back up there no matter what during the end of the race. He's won quite a few races before, and has a very good shot of winning this one once more. He's usually up in the front, so as long as he can keep that consistency going with the driver right behind Travis Browder, there's no reason Donald Sadusky shouldn't be able to win this race with his hands tied behind his back.
Travis Browder looking very sharp out there, showing his support for PAD.
Yeah, Travis Browder, another great driver in this field, typically running up front. He is very good at the short tracks, speedways, so really anywhere where he can run that M&M truck. He is a huge fan of Kyle Busch, and you know, it doesn't matter who you root for as long as you can root for somebody.
Side by side with, do you believe he is side by side with Max Mount? Great looking paint job right there on the 00 of James Brown, representing Max Mount. Max Mount in association with PAD, a way to keep the cell phones out of your hands up there on that dash.
Yeah, James Brown, he's been running with us for quite a while, and he has been doing a very good job at just keeping everything nice, clean, and steady. And as long as he can continue to do so tonight, he'll be up there, up in front. Hopefully we won't have to use this reset, the backup truck that we have tonight. And in the end, hopefully it'll all work out well for the 00 of James Brown.
Now also taking a look at the number 24, right there in front of James Brown. Max Mount pushing on Max Mount, the number 24 belonging to that of Everett Lane. Everett Lane and James Brown showing their support for Pad and Max Mount out there on that outside lane, staying side by side right now with Donald Sadusky in the Ryan Sadusky Memorial Chevy Silverado, being pushed on by the number 18 of Travis Browder, about one position back. Taking a look at the number 78, the number 78 being driven by Donald Stewart, driving the official KMA TV truck, sharp looking truck right there, painted up out there by Gearhead.
Gearhead Paint Shop is run by Ted Ebenheiser, and he makes a lot of great paint schemes. He's a newer person that has come up to us here at KMA and just started handing us some paints that we really liked and we really enjoyed. So great job by Ted for shouting out or showing up those paint schemes out there. Really glad to see that there's a lot of drivers that can go out there and run them.
One stop back to the number 48 of Steve Dutz in the What Would Tanner Do tie-dye Chevy Silverado, showing his support out here for Pad as well. One stop back of Steve Dutz, Ronald Klein. Ronald Klein in the RTK Motorsports. Ronald Klein holding his line down there very solidly. Started 13th. Currently in position 10th, side by side with the number 77 of Jack Watts, driving for Southeast Motorsports.
Right now, Ronald Klein is stuck in the middle, or on the bottom line of a 3-wide situation with the 28 of Chris Voiles and the 87 of Richard Brose, along with the 27, I believe that is, of Dwayne Cooper.
3-wide action up there on the outside with the number 87 of Richard Brose. Now we know about Richard Brose. He likes that 3-wide action. Not scared to take it 3-wide. He's up there on that third line trying to get a run around the number 5 of Gary Whitmer. Working with the number 27, but the 27 into the wall.
Yeah, very slight contact for Dwayne Cooper, as he did end up drifting up just a little bit too high, end up making contact with the outside wall, and was able to keep it all straight and steady, so he was able to fall back in line right around, I believe it was pretty close to 14th or so. So not many positions lost for him, but at the same time, losing positions is losing positions. You don't want to have to do it.
Taking a look at the number 5 of Gary Whitmer. Big shout out there to Becky Whitmer on the KMA TV chat. Gary Whitmer looking very sharp out here tonight, showing his support for Pad. I do believe that paint job right there was brought to us by Over the Top Paints and Designs.
Yes, lots of painters to give shout outs for today. We have Ted Ebenheiser in his paint shop and John Hendrick that runs his paint shop. So, I mean, and a lot of personal painters that do a lot of their own personal designs. There's really a lot of people that give these cars the colors and the looks that they get.
Dropping back one position to the number 14. And 14 belonging to that of Jason Russo, driving the Pro Automotive Chevy Silverado. Jason Russo, our Tuesday night sponsor. Big shout out to Jason Russo, but on his rear end, is the number 87 of Richard Brose. Richard Brose, we just saw into a 3-wide position a few laps ago. He is back to settling down.
Yeah, he was 3 wide for quite some time. He was up there on that high side for about a lap and a half, maybe 2 laps. Found that it was not quite working in his favor, dropped back about 5 spots or so, and now is riding around in 11th. Just kind of making what he can out of a good situation in 11th position right now.
On the rear end of Richard Brose, looking at the number 32 Hoosier. 32 belonging to Ed Hewitt, started out 22nd, currently is in 13th place tonight. Side by side with the 01. 01 being driven by John Pansula, representing Max Mount out here along with James Brown, Everett Lane, and Alan Larson. Now, something really cool about tonight, Cody. The winner of tonight's monthly Race for Pad will receive a Max Mount dash mount to keep their cell phone up there on their dash safe and out of their hands. So a big shout out to the boys over there at Max Mount doing their part out here. Great looking truck right there, being driven by John Pansula. We are on lap 12 of 100. 5 lead changes, 0 cautions. What are some of the secrets out here to continuing on with this great race, Cody?
Well, the track is not all that extremely difficult. It is Talladega, so, you know, it's kind of just riding around at 197 miles per hour, kind of in interstate traffic. And, you know, the speeds are kind of high, but at the same time, the track is smooth. The tires usually hold up pretty well. So, really looking at it, you don't have much to worry about unless, you know, for some situation, driver ends up cutting you off or cutting in front of you. You got to make sure you keep your temper below you and make sure you keep everything, you know, bottled up until the checker flag waves, and then you can do whatever you need to, handle it, and take it all out in pit road or in team speak or whatever you want to consider it.
Guys out here doing a very good job tonight, out here for a very good cause. Dropping back, taking a look at David Everly starting 29th. Unfortunately, 2 laps down, and that is the fault of, well, quite frankly, us. He was up here in the booth trying to help get ourselves situated. Started his race late, but what a great guy out there. David Everly, great looking truck right there, Cody.
Yeah, great looking truck. He is with Dre Broadcasting, so I mean he's done a lot of broadcasting, and he has been helping us out a lot. I mean, so much that, you know, there's really not many words for it. He's done a great job so far in teaching us what we need to know, and right now he's sitting pretty good. There's still a good chance of him getting his laps back, so would not be too surprised to see if David can get his car or his truck going in the right direction and moving back up towards the front.
Checking in up there in the front with Everett Lane and Travis Browder. Travis Browder moving to that outside lane, going to go side by side with Everett Lane here on lap 15. Trucks are double file out here. Travis on that outside lane, just about clear of Everett, but opting to stay outside there, being pushed on by the number 19 of Donald Stewart. On the inside lane is Everett Lane, and the number 78 of Donald Stewart and the number 48 of Steve Dutz. To the right of Steve Dutz, sitting in 6th position, is James Brown. Not a whole lot of movement here on lap 15. Drivers being very patient out here.
Yeah, they're being very patient and really just taking their time, trying to really thoughtfully put everything into place before they make any over-aggressive moves. Right now, Travis Browder is sitting pretty good, and so is Everett Lane. I mean, both of those drivers have been very patient for the first, I believe we are on lap 17, so the first 17 laps, and really, I expect them to hold that patience until after the green flag pit stops are made, and really going to see how well those go through.
Drivers are tighter than a hair in a biscuit right now. A lot of action going on right there in the vicinity of Jason Russo. Jason Russo in the number 14 onto the rear end of the number 28 of Chris Boyles. Chris Boyles getting a little close there to the number 76 of Ronald Klein.
Yeah, it's a little bit tight, but at the same time, he's just trying to get a little bit of that side draft, or he could be trying to cool his engine, one of the two. Either way it goes, there's really not much else that Chris can do. He's just kind of riding in line, hoping that nobody else peeks out too far, trying to get engine temps cooled off, or going for any drastic moves right now.
Taking a look at up in the blimp view, this freight train of lead trucks, they are going to be approaching some slower traffic very shortly. Now, talk to me about the speed and the numbers versus a large pack coming up onto a small pack.
Well, the difference is you're able to see right now the number 7 truck of Chuck Dix right now is sitting, I believe he is 22nd, running at 185-ish miles per hour, whereas the rest of the pack that's coming up on him, Everett F. Lane, to be a prime example, he's running 196 miles per hour.
Wide.
They're going to have to go 4 wide.
4 wide.
Around the lap traffic.
4 wide. Well, the number 7 of Chuck Dix should have gone up. Slower traffic does go up, but I tell you what, they're finding them holes. They're taking them holes. Chuck Dix, though, the monkey in the middle, and they are still going around Chuck Dix. That was some good action right there, Cody.
That was some good action, but at the same time, I don't think it was 100% necessary. At least that's in my mind. I don't know if that was the same move I would have made personally, but there again, I'm not in the car, not driving it, so not one of my major issues, not an incident I would have cared to see. But either way it goes, though, that was some great maneuvering and great driving done by a lot of the drivers up front to avoid all of the lap traffic there.
That was certainly very exciting stuff going on right there on lap 20. Well, they still are 3 wide up here in the front of the pack. Looking at the number 27 of Dwayne Cooper on the outside, dropping back his positions a few spots. Dwayne Cooper started 14th, currently in 19th, and is 1 lap down.
Yeah, a little bit further back than Dwayne would like, I'm sure, but he should be able to catch right back onto the tail end of that pack and maybe get some momentum moving back forward. We know he was caught up against the wall a little bit there for the momentary item that he ended up either net coding into, or I'm not really sure what happened, but I think it may have been actually net code that he ended up making contact with the wall.
Taking a look at the 02 of Mitchell Reeves out here running for Southeast. Mitchell Reeves looking very sharp out here tonight, showing his Sport 4 pad, driving the over-the-top paints and designs, remembering Nicky. Great looking truck right there on the 02 of Mitchell Reeves, being pushed on by number 91 of Joel Guy. Indy Max count. We are on lap 21 of 179 to go. 12 lead changes. Already seen a lot of big action, but I tell you what, Cody, these gentlemen out here tonight, they are holding it together just fine.
Yeah, they're definitely holding it together, and as we say that, it looks like we got a truck down low. It looked like it was Travis Browder sliding sideways. Not sure if he got punted out of the way or what happened, but it looks like the number 18 truck may have been going for a ride.
Well, it does appear he's going to get a pickup from the 004 of Michael Johnson. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, Cody.
No, two trucks do move faster than a single, so, you know,
More beating and banging. Caution will fly.
Caution is out. Alrighty, as we go back and take a look at that replay real quick, we're going to see that we were 3 wide there for quite some time, and a little bit of neck code is what I am seeing.
We do know that the number 19 of the 0-1 definitely going for a spin out there. Tough break right there for the 0-1. I do believe the number 91 of Joel Guy got into it as well. Steve Dutz and Jason Russo. Chris Voiles, unfortunately, involved in it as well. We're going to back it up one more time and figure out what went wrong. We do see that the number 19 of Donald Sadusky was in a 3 wide, and I believe you're right, Cody. A little bit of neck code going on right there. Donald Sadusky, nonetheless, making contact with the number 24 of Everett Lane and the 0-0 James Brown.
Yeah, it just looked like a little bit too tight on the 3 wide action, and may have cost quite a few drivers the reset right there. It was just a little too tight up in front. When those situations happen where there's not very many places to go, it just gets hairy.
Hairy and scary, but the good news is we can get a couple of driver interviews going in here as soon as these drivers do get in and out of pit row. We are on lap 23 of 100 underneath our first caution of the evening. First and foremost, joining me in the booth is Alan Larson. How are we doing, Alan?
Oh, we're doing great there, Scott. How are you doing tonight?
We've experienced a couple of technical difficulties, but we are rolling on just like these drivers roll on, just like Max Mount rolls on. Talk to me about Max Mount and PAD.
Max Mount is proud to partner with PAD in hands-free device for your phone and iPad, whatever you travel with. Use to keep them hands-free. To not text and drive, not use your phone and drive, and stay alive.
Now, I do understand that the winner of tonight's race, he's going to receive a Max Mount dash mount. Is that correct?
That is correct. We will be giving away to the winner a Max Mount of their choice, either the large smartphone or the small smartphone mount will be given away to the winner. That is correct.
All righty, sounds good. All right, we appreciate all you're doing out here for PAD, and I hope you're enjoying the show up there.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys putting this on out here. This is really good. Getting a lot of exposure and doing real good.
All righty, good deal. Joining us in the booth also is James Brown. How about it, James?
Well, good evening, Scott.
Now, you've been doing a real awesome job out here tonight, showing your sport out here for Max Mount and PAD, but I do believe you got caught up into that first caution, did you not?
I just scraped by. I got scraped, but I didn't get messed up. My partner did. My teammate, Everett Lane, did.
Alrighty, copy that. Now, we were just talking to Alan Larson out here, and he was educating us about Max Mount. Is there anything else you would like to add to that?
No. I just love that the Max Mount. I love the hands-free device. I'm a firm believer in PAD, and it's definitely a hands-free device, multi-dimensional for however you need to mount it, and I am just a big supporter of PAD, and I love what they're doing.
Alrighty, we're a big supporter of you as well. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Scott, and good luck to KMA TV.
Thank you, sir. James Brown out there showing his support for Max Mount. Time for one more quick interview with our current race leader. How about it, Donald Stewart? Have you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Scott. How you doing?
Doing good. Were you able to survive that mayhem out there tonight?
Yeah, luckily I was up front there and made it through it there.
Alrighty, we're looking at your truck. Appreciate you showing your support for KMA TV, looking very sharp. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to tonight, or anything you'd like to tell us about? Talk to us about Donald Stewart.
No, I don't want to talk about Don Scott. to it. I want to talk about KMA TV and you guys' debut of your new TV broadcast. And I just wish y'all the best of luck. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Ted Emmenheiser for his awesome paint jobs that he does. It's just unbelievable. I'm driving one of his trucks tonight, and I'm so proud to drive it. And I hope I take it to victory lane.
All righty, nothing would make me more prouder. Good luck to you tonight, Donald.
Thank you, Scott. Good luck with y'all up here in the booth.
Donald Stewart out here showing his support for Gearhead Paint Shop. A big shout out to Gearhead Paint Shop. All right, Cody, talk to me about these first 25 laps out here.
Well, the first 25 laps, I almost thought we were going to be able to possibly get into a green flag pit stop just with the way the trucks were rolling. And, you know, it was very, very clean, very hard, fast racing, good pace. And then all of a sudden it kind of looped back around to bite everything else in the butt. But right now we're sitting with 13 lead changes, 1 caution, 3 caution laps going on to V4, so not too many caution laps, and so far first caution. This is looking like it should be a pretty good race.
Very excited about the remaining 74 laps to go. Are looking for some green flag pit stops tonight. Those are always fun to watch, but oftentimes hard to come by on the super speedways out here. Talk to us about pit row and the laws we need to abide by in pit row, Cody.
Pit road has to be one of the more difficult things for these drivers to conquer just because of mainly the speeds. I mean, they're slowing it down 120 miles per hour. They're going from 190-ish, 180-ish to 60 miles per hour in the matter of maybe 2.5 seconds, and that is an extreme amount in a very extreme rate. So these drivers do a great job on slowing them up. But if you don't slow them up enough, you're going to get hit with the speeding penalty going down and entering pit road, and that could cost you the race if it is under green flag circumstances. Pace car is in.
Donald Stewart side by side with Donald Sadusky. James Brown, second truck on that inside lane, side by side with Richard Brose. Richard Brose with a massive start right there, actually getting into the rear end of the number 19 of Donald Sadusky.
Yeah, Donald did not look like he got the great jump that he wanted, and well, neither did Donald Stewart. Well, the Donalds didn't get a great start, so now it looks like Donald Stewart ended up missing a shift right there, or maybe short shifting, something that ended up checking up that outside line, giving James Brown a good shot to go to that outside line, which he will.
As he does that, John Pensula in 01 drops down to the inside lane. He is onto the rear end of the number 32 of Ed Hewitt. Ed Hewitt pushing all he can, trying to get up there to the rear end of the number 24, hoping to get up there to the number 24's rear end and give him some help on this inside lane, trying to keep Donald Stewart out there in front. Right now, Donald Stewart side by side with James O. Brown. James 00 Brown. Donald Sadusky going into that 3 wide position.
Yep, as they're going 3 wide, it just looks like they pretty well dropped James. Yeah, really just kind of fell him into the middle, and since he does not have any help yet, Jason Russo ended up going up high as well. So now it's going to leave Donald Stewart up on the inside line all by himself, along with Everett pushing him.
Slight contact there between Donald Stewart and Donald Sadusky and John Pensula. A little bit of a door banging going on right there as Donald Sadusky pushes for all he's worth onto the rear end of the number 32 of Ed Hewitt. Ed Hewitt hoping to lead his first lap out here tonight. Donald Stewart has led the almost most laps. Donald Stewart has led 6. Donald Sadusky has led 7. Right now, Donald Sadusky all over the rear end of Ed Hewitt. Ed Hewitt side by side with our race leader, Donald Stewart.
Actually, Donald Stewart has a couple more laps before he is able to go into contention for the most laps led, because Everett Lane has the most laps led with 10. So he still has another 4 or 5 more laps, but if he keeps up this pace and keeps up this speed, there's no reason that Donald should be at all worried about leading a couple more laps.
I'm going to take a couple of laps here, ladies and gentlemen, put you into the driver's seat. Actually, the passenger seat. We're looking at camera angles from the gyro cam. We're looking at the in-car cam of the number 19 of Donald Sadusky as he does push all over the rear end of Ed Hewitt here on lap 30.
As you can watch the drivers go side by side, it's a lot tighter looking inside that cockpit. As you know, you can watch from the gyro cam the amount of force that those drivers are going underneath, and really what's keeping the car to the track. All that banking is being pushed down as the drivers are going through the corner, so it's really helping them maintain control of their trucks, as it looks like Donald is all over the back end of Ed, but he's really actually quite stable right now.
Very, very stable indeed. Looking at the rear end of Jason Russo through the eyes of Jack Watts. Seeing that 3 wide develop, keeping the camera in car cam. Jack Watts up through the center, trying to spread the center lane out, make it a little bit wider, getting up to the rear end of the what would Tanner do? Chevy Silverado, and down goes that 48 to that inside lane. Jack Watts still in the car with Mr. Watts. He is now up to the Hoosier. Hey, even the Hoosier right there, showing support for Pad. Got a little bumper sticker right there. 3 wide positioning right now. Jack is the monkey in the middle. Looking like he's a little bit loose. Contact to his left with Ed Hewitt, and around and around and around will go Jack Watts.
That was the slightest bit of contact that they could find, and really another big one that ends up taking out quite a bit of the field. Again, it looks like there may have been a tad bit of net code there, not amongst Ed Hewitt and Donald Stewart, but off of Jack Watts's right or left side of his car.
Unfortunately, that will bring out the next caution of the night, but indeed the number 32 of Ed Hewitt involved with the 3rd caution of the evening. Watching Jack Watts going round and round. Not much Jack Watts could do right there, but hold on to it. Jack Watts trying to get grip along there with the 00 of James Brown. Both of those trucks taking on a fair amount of damage. They're going to have to head off there into pit road. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we are going to take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're on lap 34 of 166 laps to go in the race for pad. Special event brought to you by KMA TV. One more time, we do ask to pardon the technical difficulties. We're still working out a few bugs. We thought we had them worked out today, then we were alley jumped by a new technical difficulty, but nonetheless, we're going to keep banging on it until we get it right. Catch us up on our current leaders, Cody.
Our current leaders up front are starting out with Everett Lane in the 24. He's been up front for most of the night, was able to go in, pit in, and really he's made up quite a bit of his ground. That, you know, he's been up in the top 5 or so for most of the beginning part of this race, but he was losing a little bit of time there before the caution, but he was able to make it through without any problems, without any damage, and now is back up in first place. Ronald Klein sitting second. Started out 13, was a little bit further back in the pack when we started. Kind of floated around there for a little while, but now he's back up there towards the front. Donald Sadusky sitting in third. Started 7th, been up front. We've been watching a lot of his action, 2 wide and 3 wide so far throughout this race. Running in 4th position is Richard Brose. He's been running about top 10, not much further forward. He has been running that 3rd line like he is known to do. And really that's primarily where we sit for the top 4. Travis Browder sitting in 5th, started 5th. Really he's been running right around 7th or so. So, I mean, Travis done a great job so far. As long as he can continue to keep it steady, there's no reason he can't be up there towards the end.
Chris Boyle is sitting back there in position 6. Gary Whitmer Jr. sitting in position 7. Mitchell Reeves in position 8. Jack Watson position 9. And James Brown is sitting in position 10. Now, Cody, that's pretty cool right there. Looking at Gary Whitmer and Mitchell Reeves actually matching trucks right there. Both of these drivers coming out tonight to show their support for pad in the race for pad. The Angels Never Die, number 5, Gary Whitmer, and the number 2 of Mitchell Reeves, brought to you by Over the Top Paints and Designs. Great looking vehicles right there.
Yeah, so much detail and very, very high quality. You can tell just by how, clean and crisp the car or the truck looks. Now, I believe we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing. The lights are off the pace car, so we are on 1 to green. Hopefully we can get more green flag laps and another good green flag run in here. 17 lead changes, 2 cautions, totaling a 7 caution laps. So as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here, we will be watching Everett, seeing if he continues to go the typical route, which is on green right now.
Well, he can go on green, or he can go once that pace car does enter, trying to catch some of the fellas out here behind him by surprise. Now, we're looking at a big gap right there on that inside lane between the number 87 of Richard Brose and the number 19 of Donald Sadusky. What do you think the situation is right there? Well, you could fit at least 2 or 3 trucks. Right now, Richard Brose is tightening up that gap. Was he just sitting back there being careful? Has he got something planned, do you reckon?
I don't really know, just because there's really, it still looks like there's a good 2 car lengths that he's got holding between them. So maybe he's just planning on trying to jump the leader's jump. And if he's planning on doing that, that could cause an early caution, or he could just be preparing for a checkup on the start. So either way it goes, Richard Brose being very proactive, trying to make sure he's ahead of the field. Pace car is off, getting ready to go back to green flag racing.
And away it goes. Everett Lane, very good start. And indeed, that inside lane, it just completely appears to have fallen apart. Everett Lane off with a massive start. Donald Sadusky, Ronald Klein side by side. Travis Browder down onto that inside, going to get tucked up onto the rear end of the number 19 of Donald Sadusky. And look at these 2 boys go. And Donald Sadusky going up. Travis going up. Tighter than a hair in a biscuit right there. And Donald Sadusky, Travis Browder immediately working together, dropping down. Going to take the number 76 of Ronald Klein with them. What a change of events. Looking at the number 87 of Richard Brose, though, on the tail end of this six-pack.
Yeah, he was, it looked like the drivers just ended up making a very clean-looking plan just to try to get around Everett. Now it looks like Everett's going to be fighting back hard on the outside line, being pushed on by Mitchell Reeves and Richard Brose.
Everett Lane obviously did not like getting passed out there in that direction, immediately heading back up there to that front.
You know, we always say that there's a lot that can happen in a very short amount of time, and you were able to see Everett go from being in third position back up into the lead after being in the lead on the restart, and that all happened in about a lap and a half. So, you know, the momentum, it changes very, very quickly, and it can change almost instantly for most of these drivers.
Now this right here, Cody, this is one of my favorite camera angles out here to watch these boys race. It's almost like you're standing on top of that hood looking backwards. We're getting a really good view right now of the hood of the 02 of Mitchell Reeves, remembering Mickey written across that faceplate. Angels never die, and he is side by side with Mr. M&M, the number 18 of Travis Browder, onto the rear end of the number 24 Max Mount. Look at that pad logo right there on the flatbed of that Chevy Silverado Max Mount. Always great when these guys out here show their support out here for pad.
Yeah, it's always wonderful when they can come out and really show their help for the sponsors of the race, and how, you know, they're just doing a great job and being able to customize and personalize what they want for what they need, and really over-the-top paints and designs did a great job this time on just really showing the true colors and trying to support a lot of the drivers.
Everett Lane taking it to the middle lane. Going to get a big boost there from the number 87 of Richard Brose. Everett Lane staying out there in that middle lane, getting those tires right there down onto that white line.
Yeah, it looked like Everett was starting to drift up there from my point of view, but at the same time he started to drift up, but then he ended up going right back down. So now he's back in front of the inside lane, in front of Donald Sadusky, and now he is being pushed on by Donald Sadusky. Richard Brose able to get a really good run that time around into turn 1 and 2, but obviously the inside line has the advantage, shorter way around the track, all the way through the corner.
Richard Brose side by side with Everett Lane, hanging those cameras off of that left front suspension of Travis Browder, getting a great camera shot. Ladies and gentlemen, that is about as close as we can get you. Richard Brose really liking that middle lane, feeling very good up there right now. Travis Browder started 5th. Travis Browder currently in 3rd. Travis Browder with a win this week with KMA Racing. Big shout out there to Travis Browder.
You were able to see right there Richard Brose going down in front of Everett Lane. Now it looks like Travis Browder is going to be leading the top line as we're going to go down the backstretch. He's going to get a lot of momentum right there, and it might be enough to just barely push him past the current leader, which is Richard Brose.
Richard Brose leading one lap. Everett Lane, though, still the laps led the most. We have got Everett Lane one more time back up there in front, trying to lead his 19th lap. We are sitting on lap 43 of 157 to go. 21 lead changes. Now those lead changes, they're starting to climb high, and the caution count is staying relatively low So that right there does say a lot about the way these guys are out here racing tonight.
It says a lot about everything. I mean, these drivers out here are doing a great job on maintaining their lines and giving a lot of room, just trying to, you know, show that they can run very cleanly and show that they can run everything that everybody else wants them to run without any issues. Right now, with only 2 cautions and 21 lead changes, we have a very, very high number to be expecting.
Taking a look at Michael Johnson in the 004 out here tonight, representing Pad in the black Chevy Silverado.
Now it looks like Richard Brose. Ooh, Michael Johnson up into the wall, just a little scrape right there. He got pushed and shuffled out of line. Now it looks like he's going to be falling backwards towards the tail end of that pack, which should be right around 15, or should be right around 11th or so.
Ronald Klein, number 76, showing his Port 4 pad. Putting that worldwide logo right there on the left quarter rear panel. Appreciate RTK Motorsports being out here tonight supporting Pad. Side by side with the number 66 of Edward Bray. Now, unfortunately, Edward Bray caught up early into a couple of cautions, but nonetheless showing his support out here for Pad, KMA Racing, and Harley Davidson.
Yeah, Edward Bray currently sitting about 2 laps down. He is working on getting that lap back, and he might just get it the hard way, and that's by passing all of the remaining leaders in front of him and maybe catching a break with the caution. But right now, with the way these drivers are going, it doesn't look like there's going to be much of a chance for a caution as long as they maintain what they're doing. Donald Sadusky, your current race leader.
Donald Sadusky up there in the front, leading 11 laps. Nothing but free air, putting those cameras down onto the nose of Donald Sadusky. Getting a good look at that asphalt, watching Donald Sadusky coming up at a high rate of speed onto the lap traffic. Dropping back to the camera of Richard Brose as watching the lap traffic go high. And that was the number 91 of Joel Guy driving Max Mount.
Yeah, Joel Guy is another great driver. Just looks like it's not quite his night. I believe that might put him 2 laps down. I'm not sure if he lost one earlier on in the race. I don't think he did. But, yeah, he may have.
5 drivers out there in that front pack belonging to Richard, Travis, Donald, Everett, and Mitchell. But hot on their heels, they have got another 5-pack going on consisting of Ronald Klein, Jack Watts, Dwayne Cooper, James Brown, and Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer Jr. still in it tonight, started 12th, currently in 10th place. Doing a good job out here tonight, looking very good, staying very safe, trying to get up there to the rear end of James Brown. James Brown, side by side, double file action, no hurry, no worry, here on lap 47 in the monthly race for Pad 266.
You may be saying no hurry. Well, we've just had our 25th lead change in the matter of 48 laps, as Travis Browder was able to lead that lap right there. And, you know, an amazing job done by a lot of these drivers right now. Richard Brose was your last race leader, and, you know, he ended up just barely getting by Travis, and now Travis just barely getting by him. Now it looks like Edward Bray to the lead. Well, in the technical sense of if he was on the lead lap, but right now Edward Bray now only being marked as 1 lap down.
Edward Bray knowing how to get her done out here tonight. Everett Lane leading most laps, leading 19 laps. Travis Browder back there in first position at the moment, leading 7. Richard Brose leading 2.
It won't be much longer before we're going to have to start thinking about green flag pit stops here as we are closing into our window of, well, we're not really closing into much of a window now that I think about it. I believe their last pit stop was on lap 36 or so. So, you know, being that their last pit stop was on 36, that would make it, what, 66 for our next pit stop?
And at 66, they're not going to be able to do that on a one fuel stop. The window out here tonight in these Chevy Silverados and Toyota Tundras sets at about 30 to 32 laps. So if they follow that lap 66 window, they're going to be 2 laps short on fuel.
Well, nobody wants to be 2 laps short on fuel, so it does look like they might end up either needing a caution or possibly needing 2 pit stops, which they might break up into 2 different sections. But right now, with the flow of the pack, with the way the drivers are being, and with the way the trucks are handling right now, there's not much reason to pit until you absolutely have to, until you drain that tank out.
But I will say this, Cody, this is pretty cool up here, seeing all these max mount trucks and the pad trucks out there, the Remembering Mickey. Drivers always coming out here the first Sunday of the month in the monthly race for PAD, brought to you by PAD in association with Max Mount.
A huge shove from Jack Watts given to Everett Lane to get Everett not only the lead, but just about cleared down in front of Edward Bray. So now Edward Bray looks like he may have lost his lap back. So now it looks like he might end up having to work his way back forward to try to regain what would technically be the lead.
You are correct about that with Edward Bray, as he did lose that physical position there to Everett Lane. That did drop him back to 2 lap down status. Now, if he can get around and get back up into that technically first place position of this lead pack, he will be being pushed on by the leader, so he will actually get that 1 lap back. But he has to stay in front of the race leader in order to achieve that goal. Right now, he is sitting 2 laps down on the tail end of number 24. And there we go. He's taking it back onto that outside. Will Jack Watts help out Edward Bray?
You're more than likely going to see Jack Watts pretty well help anybody that's in front of him right now. He is doing nothing but a great job at pushing drivers from one position to another, and now Jack may have lost a little bit of momentum entering into turn 1 and 2, but it looks like he should be able to get the momentum right back as they go down the backstretch.
Everett and Travis Browder dominating that inside lane, keeping cameras locked and loaded on these front 4 trucks right now. Edward Bray 2 laps down side by side with Everett. Jack Watts hot on the heels of Edward Bray. 3rd truck on that outside lane belonging to Mitchell Reeves. Mitchell Reeves working along with Jack Watts. All 3 of these drivers on this outside lane showing their support for PAD. People against distracted and driving. Travis Browder showing his support as well on that Toyota, looking at the PAD logo. That is one of the newer PAD logos into the tail bed of the number 18 of Travis Browder.
Edward Bray down onto the inside line. Now it's going to give the momentum back up to the outside line. See if Jack Watts can do anything with the momentum this time.
Lap 54 of 100 in the race for PAD.
Drivers are still doing a great job at keeping this racetrack green and clean. So now we're going to be watching Jack Watts and Everett Lane battle it out side by side, fighting for the lead position. It does not look like Jack's able to quite get enough, well, just barely, and not able able to get enough of a run to stay beside Everett entering the corners.
Checking back into the rear of the field, looking at a few of these other drivers, we've got the number 61 of David Everly, currently 4 laps down, being pushed on by the number 28 of Chris Boyles. Chris Boyles actually on the lead lap. In the rearview mirror of Chuck Dix is the number 7, being driven by Chuck Dix in the number 7. I do believe Chuck painted up that truck right there. A little bit of a painter himself in the pink KMA TV pad truck. Big shout out there to the number 7 of Chuck Dix, showing his support out here tonight. Chuck Dix into pit row, faking it back out onto that track. Not quite sure what that was about right there, but nonetheless, Chuck Dix out here showing his support, and that is indeed what is important.
Yeah, I just don't know, maybe if he ended up getting sidetracked trying to turn off tires or get ready for that pit stop. Maybe he heard a teammate calling to go into pit road or something along those lines. But I do know we are within, say, about 5 to 6 laps before we end up seeing a lot of these drivers head into pit road.
Taking a look at the number 25 of Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson supporting the over-the-top paints and designs. Number 25 Gravedigger, I do believe, sharp-looking truck right there by Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson currently sitting in position 11. Mark Jackson going into pit row. Several drivers into pit row. Keeping it on Mark Jackson. Talk us through this pit stop by Mark Jackson.
Alrighty, more than likely Mark Jackson, I do believe he will be taking 2 tires and a full tank of fuel. You also have a couple of other drivers that ended up going into pit lane with him. Everett Lane being one of them, James Brown being another, and Ronald Klein being the 4th person in this group. It looks like, yeah, Mark Jackson ends up taking lefts, and the other 3 looks like they may have taken rights. So Mark Jackson able to very easily lead that one out just within, you know, the little bits of time that they did have separating their pit stops, which was little less than a second or so.
Back into the gyro cam with the number 76 of Ronald Klein. Now, Cody, as these guys are exiting out of pit row, they do need to stay below that yellow line right here. Ronald Klein showing us how it is done correctly as he is trying to get back up to the rear end of Everett Lane in the number 24 Max Mount. Green flag pit stops right there, Cody. That's always a plus out here.
Well, it's a great thing to see. It's a good motivation for a lot of the drivers, and it's also great to you know, see in a broadcast as well, just to see great green flag racing. Even with the amount of lead changes that we've had, now we are seeing green flag pit stops. It's just always an added bonus for us.
Getting back up with our leaders, looking at Mitchell Reeves. Hasn't led any laps yet, but he is trying to take care of that right now. Mitchell Reeves out there in position number 1, working with the number 77 of Jack Watts, Donald Sadusky, in the Ryan Sadusky Memorial truck, sitting in a very solid position 3. Started out 7th tonight. Donald Sadusky on that outside lane.
Yeah, Donald did a great job in practice. He was able to actually pull down our top time in practice. And, you know, it was just a good way to start out the evening. Got qualified in 7th, a little bit further back. I think he may have ended up bobbling in one of the corners on one of his laps, and that's really kind of what threw him back into 7th position. He usually does end up qualifying somewhere within the top 5, but a little outside of it this time, but obviously that's not affecting his mojo whatsoever. He is sitting 3rd position very comfortably.
Dwayne Cooper on the rear end of the number 19 of Donald Sadusky. Dwayne Cooper started out 14th tonight. currently in fourth with a fast lap time of a 48.658. Now, as we are looking at this gyro cam, Cody, we're going around these corners, and I tell you what, talk to me about the banking, because I don't know, I'm in this passenger seat right now, Cody. As we come around these deep banking corners, almost looks like the truck could tip over.
You know, they've done several tests with Talladega Super Speedway, and the amount of banking is just extraordinary when you have to try to walk up it. It's not the highest bank track that NASCAR goes to, but it is one of the more, one of the more super banked tracks that we usually see on one of our schedules, just because it's a very tight, it goes from flat all the way into a very heavily degreed corner. In fact, let me see if I can figure out how heavy banked that is. And I believe on their biography it does say that it is 33 degrees of banking. So, it's one of those corners that it's sitting right there where too much is going to be more like Daytona, where you actually have to let off because the banking is actually going to pull you down the track. And then you got Talladega where it's perfect, and then you got some places like, Texas and other places like that where the truck will just do nothing but slide up. But here at Talladega, it is such a perfect ratio of speed and aerodynamics and weighted for cars. Sits perfectly with a lot of these drivers.
Green flag pit stops developing out. Looking at Richard Brose. We're up on the tail end of Richard Brose. Richard Brose and Travis Browder going into pit road. Green flag pit stops.
Not only Travis Browder, but Jack Watts and Mitchell Reeves as well. So those drivers going to be interesting to see what they decide to do, as all four of them end up hitting their pit road, pit lane, pit box at the same time. Jack Watts taking right sides. Looks like along with Travis Browder end up taking right sides. I do believe Richard Brose and Mitchell Reeves ended up taking lefts that time.
Following Travis Browder out of pit road, trying to get caught up to the rear end of Mitchell Reeves. Green flag pit stops here on lap 64 of 100 in the Race for Pad monthly pad awareness race. We have had 2 cautions, 29 lead changes. Drivers out here doing a really good job. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to the fans. Unfortunately, I do not have that chat box open, so I obviously cannot sit here and shoot the shoot with you, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, hey, I appreciate you guys being out there. As I mentioned earlier, we had some technical difficulties again tonight. We're still rookies out here tonight, but we are advancing our education. But I tell you what, Cody, the way these drivers out here, there are no rookies out here on this track. Gary Whitmer Jr. right now in first place, coming out of pit row. He's unfortunately will be losing that first place position, trying to get it back up to speed. He is at 157, 158, merging up onto the track at 162 miles per hour.
Yeah, there was that entire round of green flag pit stops has been completed. 5 laps short of what they're going to be able to make it on this pit window, so they will have to stop again, or at least get a splash of gas or something, as it looks like Ronald Klein is going to take over the position from Edward Ray, who just did finalize his pit stop as well, along with Donald Stewart. Donald Sadusky, Tristan Beats, Mitchell Reeves, and, all the other drivers back there ended up finishing up their pit stop. So, good job by Ronald Klein being able to take over first place.
Ronald Klein leading his first lap of the night. James Brown leading 1 lap, but the big dog on the track is the number 24 of Everett Lane. Everett Lane leading 25. Donald Sadusky currently sitting in position 4, leading 12. Donald Sadusky working with 0-2 of Mitchell Reeves here on lap 66.
You've got a 3 truck pack going up against, I believe it's a 5 truck pack going up against 2 drivers that are behind the 5-truck pack. So, you're going to see these drivers bunch right back up to the point in which they were before. And I would not be surprised to see a good 9 or 10 trucks fighting once more for that lead going into our final pit stop or our final pit window at least.
Travis Browder into pit row, looking like he's got a little bit of damage getting that fixed, and Travis Browder pulling out of pit row, but unfortunately that will put Travis Browder 1 lap down. Haven't talked about Tristan Beets tonight. Tristan Beets right now sitting in 11th position, but is 1 lap down. Tristan Beets hanging on to the rear end of the number 78 of Donald Stewart. 2 laps down as well. Donald Stewart pushing on to the rear end of the number 66 of Edward Bray. 2 laps down as well.
So it looks like we've got a lot of lap drivers that are going up there trying to help out for what they can on the lead lap side. So either way that goes, it's always nice to see that these drivers are still sticking it out and trying to stay with it no matter what happens.
Definitely have to finish what you started, and tonight these drivers doing a good job out here. Getting up front, checking in with our race leader. Running with these lap drivers is our race leader, Everett Lane. Everett Lane started second in tonight's race for Pad. He currently is in first, getting help from the number 76 of Ronald Klein.
Passing a couple of lapped drivers here on the complete outside lane up on that 3rd line. It did look like we had Gary Whitmire, Joel Guy now coming up onto Michael Johnson and the 28 of Chris Voiles. So those drivers either going an additional lap down, or it could be their first lap down for those 4 drivers.
Well, these top 5 drivers, they are ripping past Chris and Michael. Everett Lane showing how to get her done tonight. We are on lap 69 of 100. Now we are going to be entering our fuel window.
We did just cross the line for our fuel window. It's going to be interesting to see who decides to short pit, who decides to stay out, and who decides to really make this a interesting race just off of pit strategy alone. So, I mean, honestly, I'm usually one that prefers to go in pretty early as soon as I see and I know I can make it from that point. So, interesting strategies could be happening right now. They may think they have a chance for a caution, which could lead them to staying out. Not really sure who's going to do what, but for right now, good racing and 30 to go, 29 to go now.
Everett Lane side by side with Edward Bray. Got to keep in mind now that Edward Bray is indeed 2 laps down, but he is doing everything he can to get those laps back the hard way. You got a feeling this is going to go caution free here on out. So I'm not sure if Edward is going to get those laps back or not, Cody. He's fast, but you got to be super fast to get back 2 laps here at Talladega Super Speedway.
Yeah, right now, currently, Tristan is sitting in one of the most comfortable spots right now because if there is a caution, he's able to get his lap back without a problem. Now, anybody that does not get a caution is not going to have much of a chance for the win tonight just because there's not much else for speed out there. But that does not mean the race is over. That does not mean that the drivers don't have a chance to help out a team win. For that case, you can see that we still have quite a few drivers, 7 or 8 of them that are sitting within a half a second in this main pack. And the remainder of those drivers that are sitting in that main pack are lap down. So good chance for them to help out a teammate or help out a couple teammates just to get them through to the end of the race and possibly push them to a win.
Now let's take a quick look at some of these drivers that are a lap down. Well, we know that Edward Bray right now is up there in the front, and he is a lap down. Tristan Beats sitting in position 8, 1 lap down. The number 28 of Chris Boyles in the Ferguson, showing his support for Pad. Got it up there on the Wingate right there. Big shout out to the number 28 of Chris Boyles, but he is 1 lap down as well. Michael Johnson on the rear end of Travis Browder, 1 lap down as well. And as you said, Cody, these lap down drivers, they are running up here with this pack.
Yeah, see, we had an issue before where the lap drivers were not getting out of the way of the lead lap drivers, but that's a little bit different than the situation that we have right now, is because the previous incident was with a slower traffic, and that's why we now more say slower traffic yield to the leaders, so that way then even if they're slower or slower by like 10 miles per hour, so the drivers do know to get out of the way. But in these cases where the drivers are up to speed, they can feel free to race as long as they would like.
Right now they are approaching the number 7 of Chuck Dix. Chuck Dix 4 laps down, getting ready to go 5. And we'll see how right there Chuck Dix knows that he has got to get up there, give these leaders that inside lane. Good job right there by Chuck Dix. Going to put you back into the cockpit of James Brown. Taking a look at what James Brown has to deal with out here tonight. Looking at the rear end of the number 76 of Ronald Klein, side by side there with Tristan Beats. Moving on forward, looking at the windshield of Ronald Klein. Good shot of that MaxMount.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in need of a good device to hold your device and keep your hands on that wheel, check out MaxMount.com. And a dash mount will be awarded tonight to the winner of the monthly Race 4 Pad 266. Ronald Klein right now sitting in third place, third truck on that inside lane, coming up side by side to the 02 of Mitchell Reeves as Everett goes up into the middle lane down that backstretch at 193 miles per hour. Everett skyrocketing past as the 02 of Mitchell Reeves drops down to that inside lane, side by side with Everett.
Mitchell Reeves making a pretty drastic move to try to get back into that lead position, and it will work for him as long as Everett does not get enough of a run up off of the trioval being pushed on by Donald Stewart. So it's not going to affect him too much, but that does throw us into our 35th lead change of the night, only with 2 cautions. So right now these drivers are doing a great job of just maintaining speeds, maintaining their pace, and right now it's looking like we could possibly go caution-free from here.
I'm thinking we've got a very good shot at it, but these drivers do have to start checking out their fuel load. Now, you had mentioned a term earlier, Cody. You had mentioned short pit. Talk to us and explain to our fans out here what short pit is.
Short pitting is just pitting in a lot earlier than a lot of the other drivers. It's pitting a little bit shorter, so that way then you don't have to pick up a complete fuel load, or just pitting in general of before your tank is completely empty. So that way then you have the options to either grab 2 tires or no tires, no tear off. It's usually one of your fastest pit stops, usually remaining right around 2 to 4 seconds inside the pit.
Looking at the 3-pack tandem of David Everly with Dre Broadcasting and Gary Whitmer, GW Graphics, and the number 91 of Joel Guy, number 7 of Chuck Dix doing everything he can to hang on to the tail end of the number 91 of Joel Guy. Unfortunately, Joel Guy 4 laps down. Dave Deliberately 5 laps down. Chuck Nix 5 laps down as well.
Looks like we do have green flag pit stops. The short pitting we were just talking about going on. Donald Sadusky, Mark Jackson, Mitchell Reeves, all of those drivers ended up going into pit road. They're in and out. Usually it doesn't take this long, but it was about 5.1 seconds for Jack Watts. Mitchell Reeves took about 6.9 seconds, but Donald Sadusky, obviously a very quick pit stop with a 4.4 seconds in and out of his pit road, in and out of his pit box.
Jack Watts trying to get caught up to the rear end of his teammate running with Southeast, Mitchell Reeves. That will put Mitchell Reeves into position 5, Jack Watts into position 6. That'll put Everett Lane up here in the front in position 1. Ronald Klein remaining in position 2 on that inside lane. 3 wide up here in the front of the pack.
Everett Lane still able to lead a lot of this race, really. I mean, he's led 35 laps, and you know, 35 of 80 is quite a few out here at Talladega when you can be this consistent. But not only that, but you've also had 36 lead changes. So there's a lot of other drivers that he's had to share that lead lap with, and really looking at it, he's done a great job so far of just kind of keeping that truck very consistent and smooth, maintaining where he's at.
Donald Stewart leading that outside lane. Donald Stewart sitting at 2 laps down. Started 9th, currently in 11th. 2 laps down. Not really racing against Everett Lane, but more so racing his own race, probably crossing his fingers, hoping that there's going to be a late race caution. We are on lap 81 of 100. Do believe Everett and Ronald and James Brown up here in the front. I do believe they still need to get in and out of pit road.
Yeah, those are some of the few drivers that have yet to complete their final pit stop of the evening. They might be hoping for a late race caution or something along those lines to happen, but at the same time, there's not much that usually happens once we hit 18 to go if we have a field this spread out. I mean, you've only got really 3 drivers that are working together for the lead, and the remaining drivers are actually a lap down or more.
Now, interesting little fact here, fans. Looking at the right front suspension there on James Brown, we're noticing the purple. We're also noticing a little bit of purple on the number 99 of Tristan Beats. Now, the thing about the purple, Cody, purple was our fallen angel, Nikki Clenny's favorite color. So another way that these drivers out here tonight are supporting the memory of Nick Clenny is by painting their rims purple. So we're looking at Tristan Beats having the purple number 99 numbers along with the purple rims. The purple rims sitting there on James Brown. We've seen pad logos. We've seen several different types of pad logos. Now, Pad just did issue out a brand new line of pad logos, and it is so cool. So loving that these drivers out here tonight, they're not only coming out here to have a good time, run some laps, get them up to 200 miles per hour, but they're also coming out here tonight to show their support for the Clenny family, for the organization of PAD, People Against Distracted Driving. And if you'd like to get your hands on some bumper stickers, some wristbands, t-shirts, a lot of merchandise out there, check out PADD.org, PADD.org, People Against Distracted Driving, lap 84 of 100 in the monthly Race 4 Pad 266. Everett Lane leading up to 39 laps tonight, large and in charge. Keeping a very close eye on Everett and Ronald and James, knowing we should be seeing some green flag pit stops coming up very shortly. Question is, though, are they going to drain that tank Now, if they drain it, they're going to have to come in and just maybe barely get about a quarter tank of fuel. What are you thinking?
They're definitely going to be, kind of just a splash of gas and go situation, but if they do end up draining that tank, they're going to have to be very careful and watch how much fuel is left in that tank, because obviously with the unknowns of the Talladega circuit, there's really a lot of things that can go wrong if they end up planning on a pit stop and they only have 0.1 gallons left once they hit pit road. The caution may fly, they may hit pit road or not be able to hit pit road because pit lane's closed. They're going to have to try to find somehow, some way to make 2 laps around this circuit before they're allowed to go into pit road, just because it could be closed.
Looking at the rear end of the number 19 of Donald Sadusky, rest in peace, Ryan. Coming up on May 9th, I do believe we're going to be having the second memorial race for Ryan Sadusky. In loving memory of Ryan Sadusky, looking at the rear end of the number 19 of Donald Sadusky. Big shout out to Donald.
Donald's has done a great job so far tonight in tonight's pad race. He has been up towards the front for most of this, and honestly, this is the farthest back I've seen that entire pack so far, with 38.0 seconds behind him. So 38 seconds flat behind the leaders. Not a huge gap because they still have to make their pit stop, but it is still a pretty big pack for 3 drivers to try to catch up by themselves.
Everett Lane in the number 24 Max Mount, up to the rear end of the number 78 KMA TV truck being driven by Donald Stewart. All of these drivers out here tonight looking very sharp, very impressed. Paint jobs out here tonight. Big shout out to all of our painters. Big shout out to the fans. Appreciate you helping us out tonight, Cody. And we've got green flag pit stops going on.
Yeah, lots of those 6 drivers that were up front prior, all 6 of them ended up heading into pit lane all at once, which kind of almost got a little dangerous there. It looked like there may have been a little bit of contact. Donald Stewart overshooting his pit box, but no big deal, as he is still able to get out there in front of quite a few of the other drivers. Tristan Beats, though, able to get up and off his pit stop extremely fast. Everett Lane not as quick, but he is still your current race leader, as that should be changing within about 30 seconds or so once Donald Sadusky, Mitchell Reeves, and Jack Watts ends up catching him coming out of turn 2.
Jack Watts currently sitting in 6th place. Mitchell Reeves sitting in 5th place. Donald Sadusky, very solid 4th position tonight.
Very solid 4th.
I do believe you're right. I do believe they are going to catch up with Everett and James very soon.
I don't doubt that they'll be able to catch up, because now they've got a pretty good draft hold on the remaining drivers up in front. So right now, James and Everett have to try to figure out who wants to lead where and get nose to tail, so that way they can start running some pretty decent lap times and try to maintain this lead.
Well, they are side by side, double foul. That's going to jack up the run that James Brown and Ronald Klein had, and that is going to allow Donald in this pack. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're on lap 89 of 111 laps to go, and we've got a race going on, Cody.
Oh, this is going to get interesting here, Scott. We have finally another 6 drivers totaled up into this track right now, but we have, I believe it's about 9 or 10 drivers that are total fighting for this race win right now. We have 6 on the bottom line, 3 on the top. Now it's going to change up a little bit as we have 2 more heading towards that outside line. Donald Sadusky down in front. Now we've got 37 lead changes and 10 to go.
Catching our fans up with our numbers, we've got Michael Johnson 1 lap down, sitting in 10th position. Tristan Beats 1 lap down, sitting in 9th. Mark Jackson, position 8. Gary Whitmer Jr. currently in position 7. Big shout out to Caution is out.
A little bit of rough riding there, right there. Looks like we may have had a little bit of teammate netcode going on right there. Just little bits of bumper touching, little wrong places, and kind of just turned Mitchell Reeves right around there, done by Jack Watts. A little bit too rough entering into that corner. It looked like the back end may have lifted up on the 02 truck of Mitchell Reeves, and kind of what sent him around pretty quickly.
Round and round, and around again. An unfortunate break there for Southeast Motorsports. Contact there with Mitchell Reeves, and I'll tell you what, that is a heartbreaker right there. But there are a few drivers that, quite frankly, were pretty glad to see that one come out.
Well, there's a couple drivers that were pretty glad to see that one come out, but there's also a couple drivers that were pretty disappointed to see that one come out. I know Donald Sadusky was looking to see that one go green flag to the end, but now it's going to be a really good competitive fight to see who can, well, make the moves and who's not going to make the moves.
Now, in a situation like this, Cody, when we get back to green flag racing, we're going to be looking at approximately 7 laps, and we're looking at Donald and Everett not going into pit road, nor did James Brown. Now, we talk a lot about tire wear. We know that Everett didn't take any tires. James Brown didn't take any tires on that previous green flag pit stop. They're not going in now. Is that going to be a factor?
Not necessarily. It's not going to be a huge factor just because there shouldn't be a lot of tire wear amongst the last 5 laps between the point in which they could have made it to the point in which they're at now. So realistically looking at it, once we hit the checkered flag, they should only have right around 35 to 40 laps on their tires. And we've seen these tires be able to last a good 60 to 80 laps. So really, tire wear I would not expect to be a huge factor coming into the last final 5 laps of tonight's race, but I do think it might make it a little bit more interesting just to see how it's going to all finish up and play out.
Joining us in the booth is my good friend over at Dre Broadcasting Network, David Everly. How are we doing, Dave?
Long race, but I'm still alive.
Well, I tell you what, I did want to make sure I did get a shout out to you for 2 reasons. One, you're looking very sharp out there with that pad logo. Great looking truck right there. I do believe that was painted up by Over the Top Paints and Designs. A big shout out to you. Also wanted to personally thank you. You missed the first couple of laps because you were up here providing us with a technical assistance. I wanted to say thank you, sir. We're going to be back at it again tonight as soon as we are done here. Tell us a little bit about Dre Broadcasting.
Dre Broadcasting is just a new little company I started back in January. We do a few leagues, just have fun doing what we do and bringing it so people can watch and enjoy the races, most and foremost.
Alrighty, copy that. Big shout out to you and a big thank you and good luck to you tonight.
Thank you, and a big shout out once again to pad.org. Definitely check them out and give a donate to them. It's for a good cause.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Also want to talk into one of our favorite drivers out here, Gary Whitmer. How about it, Gary? Have you got a copy?
I got you, Scott.
Alrighty, now at the beginning of our... We did get that brand new commercial in there at the beginning. We were a little behind schedule, but we did play that great looking commercial there, brand new out there for Pad. Talk to me about GW Graphics and what you do out there.
GW Graphics do video productions for commercials that's held on live events, YouTube, on KMA TV, for sponsors, main events, that sort of thing.
Alrighty, now are you out there on Facebook? Where can we find out more information about GW?
GW Graphics on Facebook at GW Graphics, and also GW Graphics on YouTube.
Alrighty, we'll have to check you out. Right now, you are sitting in position 6th. I know you were probably pretty happy to see that last caution. How's the racing been out here tonight?
It was a little rough at first, but everything kind of settled out. So right now I'm in a good position right now. So hopefully it goes green from here on out.
All right, you're in a great position right now because you're side by side with Mitchell Reeves, and you both got matching vehicles out there showing your support for Angels Never Die. Remembering Nikki, y'all are both looking very good, and we appreciate your support out here.
Yep. Thanks, Scott.
Big shout out to Becky Whitmer. I know she's out there watching. Always got to get a interview in. Alrighty, Cody. We are sitting on lap 93. Definitely going to have a few more laps to go out here. Third caution totaling 10 laps. Great race. But what is the mentality out here for the remaining, what will it be, 5-lap shootout?
For the remaining 5 laps or so, however many laps we actually get in here, it's really going to come down to who's going to make the moves faster and who's going to make them better. We're really going to have to be watching for that third lane to really start kicking in. I don't doubt it's going to kick in. It's just going to be a matter of who decides to go up there first. I know that, well, I'm sure Gary wouldn't mind going up in there into that third lane, considering he is sitting in P6. So, you know, that position number 6 is usually where it all kind of starts to fall into place. Going to be interesting to see how those last remaining 5 laps go, but yeah, I think they'll go clean and hopefully green flag.
We've got 9 drivers out here on this lead lap. Michael Johnson in 9th. Mitchell Reeves sitting back there in 7th. Ronald Klein in 8th. Gary Whitmer in 6th. Mark Jackson in 5th. Jack Watson 4th. James Brown in 3rd. Everett Lane in 2nd. And Donald Sadusky leading us off on the inside lane. Great race. Go ahead, Cody.
Donald Sadusky looks like he's going to be getting ready and going, probably on the pace car. He does have a little bit of damage to that spoiler. I don't think it's going to slow him down a whole lot, but just something to note there. Pace car is in.
And away goes Donald Sadusky. We'll take these drivers just about half to 3/4 of a lap to get up to full speed. There's a huge gap there, though, between Donald Sadusky and James Brown. James Brown possibly setting up for a run. Now, talk to us real quick about how, when you're setting up for a run, how do you make that run happen?
Really, when you set it up, you got to make sure that you're a perfect distance away from a car, but at the same time, you've also got to make sure there's nobody to your outside. So you got to make sure that you have the speed, but you also have the distance and the clearance to make your car or make your vehicle fit in those certain spots. Now it looks like James is up high, and Everett should be able to get a good enough run to start pushing him. Now we've also got Mark Jackson in the 25 pushing on the number 19, Donald Sadusky.
Everything at this point in time will come down to teamwork. We do know that Jack Watson, Donald Sadusky, and Mark Jackson and Mitchell Reeves are number 76, Ronald Klein, going for a ride.
Man, that one, it just looked like a little bit of the same thing we saw in the third caution, which was just primarily the driver just hitting him in the wrong place at the wrong time. Ronald Klein that time collecting Gary Whitmer, and Gary did a great job on saving that truck all the way up until the point in which he came back up, ended up touching Ronald just barely, which sent him down spinning into Edward. Very poor situation for Edward. I know he was going for a couple extra positions there towards the end.
It does appear that number 76 of Ronald Klein getting into the rear end of Gary Whitmer Jr. Tough break right there for Gary Whitmer and Ronald Klein and Edward Gray. Unfortunately, Edward Gray caught up into it as well. Well, that will be our fourth caution of the night, but still great racing out here in the monthly race for Pat. That will continue to have Donald Sadusky and Mark Jackson out in the front. Now, this is lap 97. Cody, is this going to be over, or are we going to get a one-lap shootout?
This should be it. I do believe I'm not wanting to call it a little too early, but yeah, unless those drivers currently have 2 to green, this should finish us out. This should be the last couple laps of the race right now.
All right, while the drivers are waiting for the official to get down here and tell us whether or not we're going to have a one-lap shootout, gives us a chance to get in a couple of more driver interviews. How about it, Travis? Have you got a copy?
Hey, Scott, how are you? Do you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. We do believe you are still rolling out here. Talk to me about your night, Travis.
It was a good night. I got the lucky dog. Congrats to Donald on the win, and had a lot of fun. Had some green flag pit stops, and it was cool and good race.
Alrighty, copy that. Now talk to us real quick about the paint job and talk to us about what pad means to you, my good friend.
John Hendrick, over the top paints. Made me this paint scheme a year ago. It's a very beautiful paint. And pad is people against distracted driving. Whatever what happens, you have to focus on the road 100% of the time.
Alrighty, very good interview. Good to see you out here still rolling, Travis. It does appear you're going to get a top 10 tonight on that lead lap, so very good job tonight, Travis.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for putting this on KMA TV.
Big shout out to Travis Browder. All right, Cody, I do believe this might seal the deal for the night.
It definitely should. We heard Travis congratulate Donald already, so that must, well, more than likely means it's it. That's all that we have for the racing of tonight's portion. But yeah, everybody's done a great job tonight. 37 lead changes with 4 cautions. That's an outstanding ratio for these drivers tonight, and really an outstanding ratio for Talladega in a pad race.
We are going to add an extra interview in since we are still watching these drivers race around this track at pace speed, finishing it up. I do want to talk to the man who led the most laps out here tonight. That would be the number 24 of Everett Lane. Everett Lane, you're going to finish up in 5th position. Talk to me.
Yeah, not what I was really looking for, Scott. Had a fun night, though. It was fun keeping this Max out there. This 24 Chevrolet Silverado ran really fast tonight. I was real happy about the pits we made tonight. We're outstanding with some of the teammates we had out here tonight. I had a fun time.
Now, talk to me about the one achievement, the reason that we got you up here into this booth. You led 44 laps out here on a super speedway with 37 lead changes. That is very impressive. How did you lead 44 laps out here tonight?
Being in the right places at the right time. You know, you got to know when to move over and when not to move over. A couple drivers out here need to take some classes on how to do that. Not picking out any numbers or anything, but if you don't pick the right spots when to move and give the guy behind you some air, you're going to cause a mess. But it's just being in the right place at the right time and giving the guy behind you some air.
All right, we did a great job, and we appreciate you putting on the Max Mount and the pad logos tonight, looking very sharp, Everett.
Hey, thank you very much, but I want to throw out that old KMA TV. You guys are doing a great job out there, man. It's awesome that you guys are doing this for us, and I appreciate everything you and Cody do, Scott.
All right, copy that, and we're a couple of rookies up here right now, but I tell you what, we are learning, and we're making it happen. Thank you, Everett.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Cody.
Thanks, Everett.
All righty. In 3rd position tonight, we do have James Brown. Talk to me about that 3rd position tonight, James.
Well, I'm very, very happy about it, Scott. It's my first podium with KMA, and special thanks to KMA and Max Mount.
All right, one more time, talk to us briefly about Max Mount.
Max mount, completely hands-free. Telephone mount for your phone. Hands-free for distracted-free driving.
All right, and tonight's race winner will receive a Max Mount. So a big shout out there to Max Mount and James Brown. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Scott.
How about it, Mark Jackson?
Hi, Scott.
Good job tonight. Mark Jackson out here tonight pulling down to second place. Talk to me.
Man, incredible race tonight, Scott. We found ourselves in a little bit of trouble under that green flag stop. Then a caution came out and was able to bring it back around and get a good finish.
Looking very sharp out there in the over-the-top paints and design Chevy Silverado. Mark Jackson started first, currently in second place. Good job tonight, Mark Jackson.
Thank you, Scotty. I do want to thank PAD Motorsports, People Against Distracted Driving, and KMA Racing for putting this event on. You know, we do this stuff on the first Sunday of every month, and racing for a good cause. And just want to remember the Collini family and stay alive. Don't text and drive. We were able to pull out a good finish tonight, and appreciate the broadcast. Appreciate all the hard work that everybody does to put this on.
Good job, Mark Jackson. But the man of the hour, Donald Sadusky. Talk to me, Donald. How about it, Donald?
Yeah, Scott.
How you doing, Donald?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
All righty, you got the win out here tonight. Talk to me.
Well, it wasn't easy. In the beginning, it was a little rough, you know, a little bickering back and forth there, but I think it was like a lap 25 or 29, but I was determined to get back up there and just be focused and not getting in any more trouble.
All righty, you did a good job. You led the second largest amount of laps out here on lap 23. Hey, big shout out to the paint job right there. You're looking very sharp out there. The Ryan Sadusky Tribute truck. Talk to us real quick about that.
Yeah, it's a tribute to my oldest boy. His birthday was a couple days ago, March 20th. It's gonna be a year, since he passed, May 3rd, and I'm still not over it. But
well, I tell you what, either way it goes, Donald, tonight you brought home a win, not only for yourself, but you brought home a win for Pat, and you brought home a win for Ryan. So good job tonight, Donald.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That win was for him.
All right, copy it.
And I miss him, and I love you, Ryan. And it's just, and even Pat, thanks for all you guys putting this up. Don't drive distracted. Look straight ahead at all times.
All righty, and I tell you what, Donald, in order to help you yourself do that for winning tonight's pad race from Max Mount, you are going to get a dash mount, and we're going to hook you up there with James Brown and Alan Larson, and we're going to get that sent right out to you. Good job tonight, Donald.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to put you up there with James and Alan, and you need to give them your information. All righty, Cody, finish us off tonight.
Alrighty, wonderful race done by the drivers tonight. 38 lead changes, 4 cautions spread across 15 caution laps. So an amazing job done by the drivers there. Average lap time of just under a minute. It's actually 59:57. So the drivers did a great job with those current race times. And the drivers did a great job. Really, Donald Stewart ended up running the fastest lap of the race with a 48.277. He did end up leading also 8 laps. There was just so many back and forth battles up in the front. We had just such great racing. It was awesome to see. And tonight, Donald Sadusky ends up coming home in P1 after starting in P7.
All righty, we are going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, check us out tomorrow night for race. I do believe it is going to be race 9. Nonetheless, it's going to be Kansas tomorrow night on our Monday Night Mania. All righty, Cody, thank you, sir, for helping me out tonight.
Not a problem. Glad to be in the booth.
All righty, and we are out of here.